I was really fixated on having to come here because I think, especially now, this kind of audience is the most loyal and passionate audience as well, especially for movies. They're kind of keeping the movies alive. So I really want, I'd love it if it's embraced by it.
That's kind of the best reaction.
I think we just peaked. Yeah.
The fact that it was 750 seats sold out, it's pretty heady when something like that happens and very satisfying.
It was fantastic. This is the best crowd in the world.
It's really exciting to watch it and to participate in it as well.
The crowd's great. These people love these movies, and it's one of the major festivals in the world.
What a fucking reception, man! I was sitting there going, like, you're not gonna cry, and I fucking welled up.
Good response tonight. Thank you so much.
This is the best fucking film festival I've ever been to in my life.
I want to thank Fantasia for this fantastic award, the Wild Canadian Pegasus.
This is the most exciting screening of this movie that I've ever been to.
It's filled with the brave and the real filmmakers.
It's a really coming on festival. You're getting to be one of the real recognized festivals.
Festivals like Fantasia are incredibly important because it's the perfect ecosystem in which to present your movie, because you're going to the core of what you do.
Variety, The Hollywood Reporter, Screen, IndieWire, The Daily Beast et quelques autres publications renommées ont toutes délégué des journalistes à Montréal. Aucun autre festival de cinéma montréalais ne peut en dire autant.
People got everything. It was amazing.
It was wonderful. Just such a great audience, and they so much love seeing film.
This is by far the best crowd we've had. They laughed, they on cue, they responded to pretty much everything. It was amazing.
That was insane. That was cool. That screening was honestly one of the craziest screenings I've ever been into.
The Q&As here have been the best Q&As I could have ever imagined. The questions are so engaged, so intelligent, so just on point. It's been and fun. Like the audiences here are so fun.
In a lot of ways, I feel like my feature career started here in 2011. I'm thrilled to be back here. It's one of the best audiences in the world.
Watching this audience and oh my God, can we take this audience back to Israel with us?
We were not expecting a full 800-seat theater. I thought there was only just the very front of the building amount of people. I was like, Jesus, there's only like 45 people here. Oh no. And then we turned the corner and it was all the way down the block as far as I could see.
It's so rewarding to show up for your screening and see a big queue all the way around the block.
The audience just has an energy here that's pretty unique, I think.
It's a community of people that love the art of it and they're excited.
I have nothing to compare it to because it's different, because a lot of film festivals, the audiences are jaded, but here people just really love movies.
The audience is smart. They like things that are different, that are unique.
These are films that other festivals, even other genre festivals, would not give a chance to.
Our film school was Fantasia. This is where we learn a different style of cinema. We learn about amazing directors that we wouldn't have known.
Fantasia opens us up to a whole world of different. They also bring in movies from all over the world, which allows us to cross-pollinate and meet new filmmakers and understand what's going on in the world.
Il y a dans cette sélection des films très délicats. Ça m'a beaucoup surpris et j'ai beaucoup aimé cette idée qu'on commence à mélanger les pinceaux.
This was the perfect festival to play. We're very lucky that we were able to premiere here.
That is the coolest festival.
Nice to meet you too, Adam.
Yeah. I've been, hearing about Fantasia forever, and I would love to come up at maybe, hopefully next year in person. That would be perfect. But you've got like a lot of people coming up there, right?
Usually in a normal year.
It's a physical festival this year, right?
No, it's a hybrid festival. So 90% of it will still take place online.
90%. Okay.
Very much like last year. So we're working with this platform made by Shift 72.
Okay.
In collaboration with Festival Scope once more. And so they developed this platform that actually, was incredibly useful to a lot of festivals throughout 2020, throughout the pandemic.
Right.
And as we said, to sort of plan this edition once more, I mean, we had to commit to a model, right? So, sort of faced with that uncertainty, and so the vast majority of our films are shown online in a mix of a sort of VOD type rentals, meaning they're available throughout the festival, and then some titles are set to a more specific time window on the platform. But then, as COVID measures kind of relaxed in Montreal and Quebec, we sort of had a bit of a fallback or sort of complementary programming that we were able to do a series of sort of special screenings in addition to
understood, right? And those are obviously almost entirely just local.
Yeah, there's a mix. There's like local films and
local
some
folks. Right.
And also some kind of blockbuster type films. We were able to get a sneak peek of Suicide Squad, for example. So we'll do that on the 4th. So that's really exciting.
And your role is?
I'm the curator of the Camera Lucida section, which is our section dedicated to films that are a bit more on the art house side of genre cinema.
Yeah.
And I am also one of the heads of the Asian program, which is about 50% of the lineup. Includes countries like Japan, Korea, Southeast Asia. So I work on that too, very closely with my colleagues King Wei and Nicholas.
Well, the festival is from August 5th through the 25th. But tell me about what is a typical? First of all, how many years or season festivals have you worked on with Fantasia? Have you been with Fantasia for?
That's a good question. I because I feel like I've been with the festival for a very long time, but in various capacities. This is my fifth year. This is my fifth edition of Camera Lucida, curating that, and then I think I've been with the festival for maybe eight editions in total.
A lot.
Before that.
It's a long time.
Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah, okay. Quite a long time.
You've grown up with this festival, so to speak. And what is a typical? Right. Now you said 5 years in this particular category. What does that typical year for you look like? When do you begin in earnest your programming?
Sure. We start looking for films around October of the year before, especially for the Asian side of the program, which I don't know if you know the history of the festival a little bit, but the festival started as a mostly an Asian sort of film or Asian genre film festival in '96, with this sort of heavy emphasis on giant monster films, kaiju films, Godzilla, etc. And also the sort of the Hong Kong boom, of that era. Sure. The martial arts, Jackie Chan, all the heroic bloodshed stuff, the Johnny To and so on and so forth. So that was a focus going forward, and then in its second year, the festival sort of became a bit more of a general genre festival, with additions from Europe, US, and so on. But all that to say that we're to be able to sort of get on the ground, especially of what's being made in Asia, we have to start quite early. So that starts almost, we wrap in August, and by end of September, October, we're already looking in terms of what's premiering that fall, what will be available to us as well throughout the next year. So it's a pretty involved process, all in all. Yeah.
I'm sure it is. Yeah. So like most festivals, I suppose of size have a they have a category of midnight movies. You know? And
sure,
where they kind of I don't want to say marginalize genre films, but essentially that's what they're doing. I mean, it's a smart thing to do, I suppose.
Oh, I see what you mean. I see what you mean. Yeah.
But here we celebrate and we centralize these films. We put them front and center.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's that is the in a way, if you will, the logic. You correct. The entire festival is the genre section, the midnight section, and it's funny because in a way the section I curate is like the opposite. Is the
right?
It's the we marginalize the more art house films, but
we should put those at midnight. Your films at midnight,
Yeah, exactly. But in itself, it's an exaggeration because what I like to say about Fantasia and what I think is accurate over the years is that we really try to sort of showcase the breadth of what genre films can be. And we really have, on one end of the spectrum, very commercial, very commercially minded, blockbuster type of films from all over the world. Some of the biggest productions, as for example, from Japan and Korea, things that, we have a film that beat Black Widow to the box office recently in Japan. Things like that on one end, and then on the other end, we have independent films of all sort of makes, right, of all more experimental type of films, as long as they have that energy, that Fantasia energy, maybe something a little transgressive, a little weird, a little fun, that a little cult, and then we like to have fun within those parameters, which we don't shy from rom-coms or coming of age films the same way we don't shy from gory horror midnight type films. So it's really a wide scope of stuff.
Have you seen a shift in either popularity of genre films in the 8 years or so that you've been associated with this Fantasia Fest, or have you seen anything else maybe that sticks out in your mind as far as how the festival's relationship with cinema in general has changed at all? Has it? Because I mean, it seems like Fantasia grows because people's appetite for genre has increased.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at superhero films, right?
Right.
They're as mainstream as things get. And if you look at any Cineplex slate right now, I assure you it's 99% genre, right? It's what one could qualify as genre. It's horror, it's fantasy, it's superhero films, it's zany rom-coms with a sort of an angle to them, and I think that in a lot of ways what has happened throughout the past 25 years of Fantasia's existence, but also pop culture in general, is that genre film, so the niche, it's not so niche anymore, and the niche of it has expanded into the mainstream in a really, really interesting way. Not to say that the films that we show are all sort of mainstream fare. I think there are still sort of things that remain, especially within cinema, that remain a bit of a sort of acquired taste, perhaps, or you have to be a certain type of cinephile to know a certain type of filmmaker and so on and so forth. But genre as a concept, I don't think carries any particular meaning anymore,
Yeah.
And so that's what's interesting is how do you
market?
How do you keep that label going? And I think for us, it's been an interesting process because it's not marginal anymore. We're not showing people know who Ariel are.
And your festival might be partly responsible for that because it's because as we said, a lot of when they're kind of start like at 11, 12 o'clock at night, in festivals, and you have like a younger crowd, probably just because of even that, like this the way they schedule the genre films in the past. Now you're putting them, as we said, for the last couple of decades, front and center. You know,
I think people want, and ultimately, I think it's people want to see unexpected things. They want to see things they haven't seen before.
Right.
And you know, genre cinema is about imagination. It's about, you know, impossibility, and so I think people gravitate to that.
Do you think maybe streaming, the just explosion or the evolution of streaming? I wonder if that has. I mean, I'm certain it has had an impact on the increase of appetite for genre films too.
Yeah, probably, or I mean, it's a bit of you know, an egg and the you know, what came first, the egg or the hen, right? It's a bit like, do people gravitate to genre, therefore there's more being made, or vice versa. And so I think that, you know, platforms like Netflix and so on, they produce films that they think will work, and again, people want to be entertained, and they want to see things that they don't necessarily have seen before. So
yeah. Also, as I think about it, in the last couple of decades, where the commercial films, you know, have started, you know, we're so cookie cutter. I'm of course many exceptions. I'm generalizing right now, but you know, even in the superhero genre or other genres, like there just seems to be a repeat the formula because it works. And I think that the multiplexes started to be full of these films that always felt kind of like familiar to everybody. And I think their backlash against that, or a response to it, are people just, you know, wanting to get films that offer something very, very different. And how far can you get but these kind of, you know, underground type of feeling films, or more abstract, you know, little offbeat, unpredictable films?
Sure. I mean, I think, you know, genre becomes kind of sort of template in which people get to do a lot of different things, you know, and if anything, the mainstreaming of it over time, the accessibility of it over time, has made it so that more content is being made, and within that, you know, there's really interesting stuff. And as you say, I think, of course, you know, festivals like ours and others in the world as well, probably help with that mainstreaming, but you know, it's like one has to keep in mind too, you know, the availability of things. Like I was going to bring up the example of, you know, people know who Dario Argento is now very easily. You know, he's a household name. Suspiria got a huge remake, A-list remake. It's an ocean of difference between I don't know, having to mail order a VHS bootleg of that film from Italy back in the day.
Yeah, right, exactly.
You know, and so it took a particular kind of person to sort of find those films and defend them at that time. But the industry has, you know, sort of structured itself over time and accommodated a wide breadth of films, and so now, you know, you can buy that film on Blu-ray easy.
Now there's Shudder.
Exactly, and now there's Shudder, and so it's a great thing. You know, it's about giving access to all kinds of content to all kinds of people, and so with time, you know, things get mainstream, and it's all for the better, I think.
And your festival, you know, has really sort of positioned itself as sort of the initial premieres of, or for offering up a lot of premieres of the next wave of those films every year.
Sure thing. I think
that's a great place to be.
Yeah. I think the way that, you know, we conceive of our mission, and certainly I can speak with regards to, you know, the Asian section, for example, is also in that regard, giving people access to films that they would not normally get to see in the theater, or that they would not normally get to see, period. Because, we talked about, let's say, American or European genre films or something like that. A lot of them get pretty healthy releases following a festival run like ours. But we have kept in our DNA this sort of desire to bring to people films that they would otherwise not have an opportunity to see, just out of what distribution is like. And I think every festival does that. It's not particular to us, but it is very important to us to sort of find these films and get them to people.
Is there I don't know, does Quebec, the festival is based in Montreal.
Yeah.
Is there any particularly more, I don't know, do they produce any more filmmakers that are making genre filmmakers than anywhere else in particular? Or is it kind of just the fact that Fantasia is in Montreal? Has that inspired people? Do you feel like there's a community there? Or I have no idea. Maybe.
I don't know.
I know you scour the planet for these films. I know that. But I'm just wondering, because sometimes, if you build it, they will come.
They will come. Sure. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't say Montreal in particular. Although, Quebec cinema is its own beast, and we have a very rich history. If you look at the 70s and 80s of Canadian and by extension Quebecois sort of genre, we had a very robust tax incentive in those days, and if you look at the early David Cronenberg films that were shot in and around Montreal, and the list goes on so there's a history, of course, of genre in Montreal, and there continues to be one in Canada. But no, I don't know that we're all that special, but I just think that we had very motivated and passionate cinephiles in the city early on, that allowed for the festival to sort of flourish and then exist.
Apparently. Is there what's like, do you know, I'm asking you, I'm putting you on the spot, but do you know what the kind of the percentage of the typical audiences or ticket buyers at the festival when it is physical? I understand it's hybrid.
Sure.
It makes sense given the circumstances. But is the majority of people, it's got to be, right? The majority of people there are obviously probably Canadian, if not Quebecois, right?
Oh yeah, we have.
I know a lot of New Yorkers who go up to there. Trust me.
Exactly. We have people coming from all over to the festival usually, and then even beyond industry. Obviously, industry it's its own thing, but people. I have very close friends, who come from Chicago, New York, you name it, every year for the fest. But yeah, the vast majority is Montreal.
Right. Yeah. Is the city kind of get behind the festival as it's I assume as it's growing?
It does. It does. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah.
That's terrific. Again, Fantasia Festival runs from August 5th to 25th. So how many films are we looking at this year, Ariel?
We're looking at about 100 and a little over 110. I'll just say I have the exact number in mind right now. Feature films.
I can't count. That's obviously just features.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow. So, is there an emphasis on shorts at all, or?
Yeah, we program over 200 short films every year in all kinds of capacities, whether short film blocks or one thing we like to do is pair short films with features. In a way, one of the upsides of hosting an online festival, both this year and last, is that it also allowed us to play a bit with that format in an interesting way, especially for mid-length films and films that maybe run 45 minutes. How do you slot that in theaters? And usually, and so this is something that a bit of a blessing. We've been able to accommodate a wide range of so-called shorts.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Excellent. I always hesitate to ask, for specific film titles at a festival because, then you're neglecting others. It's never it's never quite the best way. I used to kind of ask, but I didn't know if there was maybe a special presentations or something that were mention worthy, or I don't want to not offer that if you have some films that you feel like you want to put on people's radars.
Sure. I mean, there's so much, of course.
Of course. But people should go to the website. Absolutely. Get on the mailing list.
Yeah, follow us on social media and so on. I can, one thing I can bring up that I'm very excited about, this year we're giving a career career achievement award to Shunji Iwai, who's a Japanese filmmaker that in a way is an integral part of the Fantasia history. Over the many years, we've programmed a lot of his films, including things like Swallowtail Butterfly, basically he comes back this year with the 12-Day Tale of the Monster That Died in 8, which is quite a beautiful film about COVID, recorded during COVID and conceived as a COVID relief film for the Japanese film industry. And so it's quite interesting because it all takes place over Zoom. And so we thought fitting to give him this virtual prize, this prize virtually, I should say, and along with a little retrospective of his work. So we'll be showing All About Lily Choo Choo, April Story, the latest film, Fireworks, which is an early film too. And so I think for fans of Japanese cinema, this is something that is quite exciting.
And people can go to fantasiafestival.com, start there, look over the program, decide what they want to buy, right? How does it work as far as badges versus a la carte?
You can do a la carte. We're offering a very reasonably priced badge that gives you access to the platform. The special screenings of the Imperial are priced separately, of course. And then it's a simple platform, much like any streaming platform. You just have to, basically, you make your schedule and you can watch. There's a lot of films you can watch anytime, and then there's some films you can only watch.
In other words, once it premieres, it's available. Like the films that we have scheduled, sort of VOD style. You can watch throughout the entire festival, and then some of them are premiering at set time. And once they premiere, are they available after that also, like further through the balance of the festival, or only in that?
It's only during that window, and then there's a repeat screening after that.
Oh, very good.
In certain cases, yeah.
So people should look carefully
and plan their best,
so if you don't miss anything that you may want to catch during the festivals. It's a long festival.
It is. We're known for the offer. I think.
Great.
Or for the sort of the size of the offer.
Right.
I meant to say, it's particularly, I think in the online context, it works quite well, and it gives people time to schedule things in an interesting way. In person, it was quite insane and part of the appeal too. Full on.
Oh my gosh!
Summer.
I imagine you just by the end of the festival, when it's in person, you just have a lot of bleary-eyed people speaking in French and English and confusing the languages more than ever, and
sure.
You're exhausted from all the films.
It gets delirious for sure.
Yeah, excellent. Well, thank you very much. I'm excited. I love this type of festival, and I'm finally able to enjoy it here in New York this year.
Sure thing. Yeah.
As I threatened, I might come in person. You say the prochaine année? How do you say it in French?
L'année prochaine.
l'année prochaine. Merci bien, monsieur. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank everybody there for agreeing to do this. I'm glad to finally include it in my coverage. It's fantastic.
Sure thing.